everyone, good morning. Hi, my name is Patch. So today I'll be talking about crowdfunding. So that's what we do at the Spark project. Yes, we have to have my slides on deck. Okay, so this morning I'll be talking about crowdfunding and how crowdfunding can help you fund your startup business. Okay, so next slide. So the Spark project, we are a crowdfunding website. We are a platform, and we're also a community for creative and conscious enterprises. We help these aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs launch their business to market as well as raise funds for their different initiatives. Next slide. At the core of what we do, next slide please. Next slide. At the core of what we do, what we really want is for Spark to be able to create economic opportunity for marginalized talent. And we do that by enabling entrepreneurs. As Tiago said this morning, the Philippines is so rich in talent. And for us to be able to enable more of these talents, we need talented entrepreneurs to build on talent. That's what we believe in. And if we are able to enable these entrepreneurs to build on the local talent that the country is rich with, then we can bring the country forward and create things, products, services, and businesses that are world class. Next slide. We started way back in 2013, so we are around 7 years old. And since then, we were able to fund over 80 projects. We hope to hit our 100 mark by the end of this year. And we raised over 8.2 million pesos for all these projects. And as a platform, the funding really doesn't come from us. It comes from the crowd. This is what modern Bayanihan is all about. And these projects were funded by people like you and me, over 3,000 of them who made these initiatives, these projects, and our sites possible. Crowdfunding is crowdsourcing money. So it's funding, is pooling small amounts of money from a large number of individuals to be able to fund a project or a venture. And the concept behind crowdfunding is something that we're all familiar with, even way back. But I guess what makes crowdfunding today more available for people is because we leverage on technology. We leverage on social media, we leverage on e-commerce to be able to pool this money more effectively. It reaches more people and more people can participate in it. Next slide. So crowdfunding over the years has really changed the way entrepreneurs launch and finance their projects. Just to give you some examples, next slide. Some of the projects that have gone through your site. Before that, there are 4 major types of crowdfunding. Just wanted to share. So if you're looking into getting into crowdfunding or using crowdfunding to start your business, there are 4 main types that we work with. No? So that's donation-based, reward-based, loan-based, and equity-based. So the first one, donation-based, is really donations. Next slide. It's geared to help nonprofits, personal causes, organizations for community-related projects. Next would be rewards-based, which is something that Spark is concentrating more of. Next slide. Rewards-based crowdfunding. It's very attractive to startup businesses putting out their first releases of their products or their services. So rewards-based crowdfunding, actually over the past 7 years, most of our crowdfunding projects are rewards-based. And I'll explain that later. Most of them are startup businesses, product-based businesses working with local artisans, local talent found in the country. It's similar to, if you're familiar with other crowdfunding sites internationally like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, it operates around the same model. Then the next one would be the lending and the equity-based crowdfunding. So some good news. So we haven't gone into this type of crowdfunding, but we're working towards being an accredited platform to be able to offer this sometime soon, because recently thanks to the SEC, they have recently put out their regulations for crowdfunding that allows us to engage in loan and equity-based or investment type of crowdfunding. So we're working towards that. These are, if you're interested in crowdfunding of this kind of model, it's more appropriate for existing businesses that have steady revenue, proven business model, and it allows them to access bigger amounts of capital. So that's something to look forward to. Okay, next slide. So just to give you some examples of the success stories that have gone to our site, I would say most of them are product-based businesses, social enterprises. We've also had some mission-driven organizations, even artists and filmmakers and musicians have used the platform to raise money for their different projects, and creatives as well. So just to give you some examples, next slide. We have wax canvas bags. They're when they started when they started their brand, they started with us. Also with a 1,500 bag prototype, they were able to launch a crowdfunding campaign and raise over 100, almost 200,000 pesos for their startup business. And now, 5 years after, they have their own store. They distribute locally and internationally. Next would be Nipa Brew, so beverage also. So they were able to raise over 250,000 pesos as they launched their craft beer, their first variety of craft beer. And after that, they were able to expand their different flavors and also open their own tap rooms in Makati. And then next would be Woven Home. So this is a culturally conscious enterprise, works with weavers from Bangar, La Union, trying to incorporate the traditional weaving into modern design. So they crowdfunded their beach towels way back in 2016, and now they have expanded also their line into not just beach towels, but also home-related products. Next slide. So we're not just a website, we're not just a platform, as you see. This also serves as a community for all these entrepreneurs. And as we grew from year on year, we were able to expand also the community of entrepreneurs who also help support each other. Next slide. So, next slide, please. So, what are the benefits of crowdfunding? Actually, though crowdfunding is all about funding, it actually goes beyond raising funds. And a lot of our alumni would say this. Crowdfunding has helped them, of course, accelerate the launch of their ventures, but it also helps them build a community around the work that they do or their brand. It's also an opportunity for them to get feedback so that they can improve their business, and it gives them the necessary exposure to spark their business and have more people know about it. And even after their crowdfunding is over, because usually our crowdfunding goes for around a month to a month and a half, but even after that, they open themselves up to more opportunities. So other possible investors, possible partners get to know about them and approach them even after the campaign. Next slide. Just like how Earth Venture, a social enterprise, used crowdfunding to legitimize their efforts as a business. They rehabilitate rivers, but before not a lot, like even their friends don't understand what they were doing. But when they did crowdfunding, finally they understood what they did and started to support them after that. Another example would be next slide. Ibarra Watches, they were already a brand when they went to Spark Project, but they used crowdfunding to strengthen their brand even more. And as they launched their latest design back then, which was a Salvador watch. Okay, next slide. So just to leave you with some tips if you're thinking of crowdfunding in the future. Next slide. I would summarize this with this super simple formula. Basically, if you want to crowdfund, here are some key elements to make you successful in crowdfunding. First is you have to have a good story, a good narrative behind what you're doing. You leverage on your friends because when you do crowdfunding, you usually first step. These are the initial stages of your enterprise. So you really get into the network of your family and friends. And then next is with crowdfunding, you have to create a video. So a video is a way for you to pitch your venture, at the same time also talk about your narrative. And then with crowdfunding, you have to have interesting rewards. So especially for rewards-based crowdfunding campaigns, rewards are there to help incentivize or motivate people to support your project. So having crafting cool and interesting rewards would really help you get the support that you need. And then having media also, leveraging on media, social media, traditional media, would help you get the word out and make your campaign viral. But even if you have all this, it's important that your product stands alone. Product is still very integral or very crucial to the success of your campaign. So no matter how cool your story is, no matter how connected you are, if your product or whatever you're offering isn't of good quality or doesn't solve a need or is something that really people don't connect with, then it would be more difficult for you to raise and reach your financing goals. Okay. Some things that you could take away, so crowdfunding is easier said than done. So if you're thinking of crowdfunding, here are some things that we should all keep in mind. So first is, crowdfunding is a very public way of raising funds. So you have to really put yourself out there and also be comfortable of other people knowing about what you're doing. Second is, when you crowdfund, you leverage on the crowd. So you have to bring the crowd with you. So that means your initial network, your family, and friends. And then when you do a campaign, a crowdfunding campaign, it does require a lot of hard work, a lot of preparation actually. So crowdfunding campaigns, usually when they start 2 months, at least 2 months before they actually launch on their site. So the preparation of crowdfunding happens way before it actually launches. So it's a marketing activity, so you really have to plan your campaign really well. And when it's up, when you're actually crowdfunding already, you have to engage both online and offline. So you can't just rely on it being an online activity, it's also an offline campaign. Especially here in the Philippines, people still value face-to-face interaction. And lastly, when you're doing campaign and it's very public, you have to have the commitment to deliver your project, the capacity to execute. Okay, next slide. So if you're ready for your project, you simply go to the sparkproject.com. So there, next slide, you'll be brought to our homepage, and then you can simply create an account and create a project on our site. So, and then once you fill it all up, it goes for a review, and then we'll give you feedback and points for improvement until you get to publish your project on our site. So next slide. Your campaign would look something like this. So this is an example of a campaign page on the site and the different elements of your crowdfunding page. So you have your goal there, that's the video, and then you have your rewards, and then your pitch and some photos. So that it's really like a home base for your project, and all the information people need about your project would be there. Okay, so that's about it. Thank you. So next slide. Yeah, so if for anyone who's interested in exploring crowdfunding, feel free to email me at patch@sparkproject.com. Me and my team will be more than willing to explore possibilities with you. Thank you.